أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدة الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين ورحمة للعالمين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا مولانا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
ثم الصلاة والسلام على آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس ويطهرهم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم وانطقني بالهدى أما بعد فقال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا صدق الله العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
या हाज़रीन मजलिस अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।
Just a few things of housekeeping before we start. The recordings for the first 3 lectures are available now on YouTube. It's on a channel called Living the Quran. No gaps. It's just one word. And if you subscribe to it, you will get the notifications as the other ones come out. Another thing, emails, if you have questions, please, I welcome them. And the email to use is livingthequran786, livingthequran786@gmail.com. So just a brief recap. Yesterday, we talked about the keys to resilience, and this is related to our topic. We are talking about holding on to faith when the world is falling apart, right? And we said we will learn lessons, inshallah, from Imam Hussain alayhi salam, from Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam, about resistance and resilience. And we started talking about resilience yesterday or day before, and what were the 3 things that are common with resilient people. So we said that there are 2 aspects to resilience, right? One is when challenges hit, how quickly do we recover, how quickly do we grow, and the second aspect is building resilience in daily life. And I said that I will be giving prizes every day for people who get the answers correct. So when challenges hit, what are the 3 keys to how people with resilience react? Anyone?
Acceptance.
Okay, acceptance is the first. Okay, adjusting your expectations. Very good.
Not to react.
Okay.
Take action, but not react.
Okay, great. So the third one was take action. And what was the second one?
Materialistic. Materialistic.
Okay. Okay. What did we say about resilience? What are the 3 keys? Okay, excellent. So now I owe you 3 books. Okay. So please come to me, okay, after the thing. I have them with me. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And we said that, in order to, this is when challenges hit, right? When challenges hit, we kind of adjust our expectations. We don't say, why me? We accept and acknowledge that challenges are part of life. The second thing is we accept our emotions, but we don't act from them, right? We act from our values. And the third is we act where we can. We act to make things better, not worse, okay? And the ways to build resilience on an ongoing basis, like to become stronger and not fragile, we need to kind of take on challenges. right? Proactively take on challenges. And we said that Ramadan was a great kind of example how this is built into our faith, that we are invited by him to, to fast for 30 months, to pray a lot, to stay up at night, and all of that builds our resilience, okay? Secondly, we voluntarily embrace physical discomfort. And this is something that we're all used to when we go to the gym, for example. We pay people money, right, to make us uncomfortable. So that's something that we are used to. Thirdly, we reclaim boredom and mental stillness. Okay, and this is something that will be kind of an ongoing theme that we talk about throughout the days. Fourth, spend time in nature. And again, we will come back to this today. And number 5, confront mortality, right? Confront mortality means that instead of running away from the fact that we're only here for a very short time, we actually embrace it. And what that does is that it really helps us live a meaningful life. If I'm aware every single day that I have a very short time on this earth, I'm less likely to spend so much time watching cat videos on YouTube, right? Because I know that that there are, Allah tells us in the Quran that most people have a loss with time. They spend it, but they don't get anything back. And, doom scrolling on social media, really spending our time where things are, where we're not getting anything back for it in terms of our akhirah, our eternal life. That kind of helps us make the most of time. So yesterday, after the majlis, a couple of people came up with a really, really good question. And I had such a good time thinking about this. And it just shows that, when I'm speaking, what I'm saying is from a very specific perspective, and it's very easy to take it out of context. Okay, so again, I invite you, if you have questions, if anything is, bothering you, it doesn't makes not sense at all, please get back to me, okay? So the question was something like this. I have spent a long time working on myself to convince myself that I am enough. And now you said in the lecture, you are not enough, right? You said it very clearly, probably more than once, that you are not enough. So now I'm a bit shaken, and I find that all my work is kind of undone. And now what? Okay. So really great question. Okay, excellent question. Anyone else wondered that? Anyone else was kind of uncomfortable with this idea that I'm telling you you're not enough when, some of you have spent years in therapy, right? Where the therapists have told you that you're enough. Okay. So we obviously need to clarify what I meant by that, right? When I said you are not enough, I meant we as human beings, not you personally. This is not personal, right? Us as a human species are not enough. Why? From a Quranic perspective. Okay, now let's kind of backtrack. And again, it's a good idea to understand because, part of resistance, by the way, resistance is our main topic, right? All of us who live in the West, who studied in the West, me too, right? We are influenced by Western ideas on a very unconscious level. Like we don't understand where it's coming from, and yet we kind of adopt it as the truth, okay? So, in Christianity, which is basically the religion of the West, and this is again how I understand Christianity. Please don't, this is not a debate about theology. But in Christianity, generally, especially in Catholicism and some parts of Protestantism, there is this concept of original sin. Has everyone heard that? Right? Original sin means what? That human beings all carry the original sin from Baba Adam. Okay? And that when we are born, a child is already kind of has the taint of that original sin. So human beings are kind of born sinful. They are not inherently good or whole. So they're inherently flawed. Okay. And like, for example, St. Augustine, who was quite a celebrated intellectual in the 4th and 5th century, he said that humanity is a mass of perdition. Right? In other words, everyone's headed for hell. Okay, this is what he wrote. So, the view of that era was that human beings are fundamentally broken or corrupt. Even newborns bear the stain of sin, and salvation must come from outside, right? Like, for example, Christ Nabi Isa alayhi salam, the idea is that he died for the sins of humanity. Okay. Now, the modern affirmation, I am enough, and it's a very, very common thing. A lot of life coaches, especially therapists less so, but life coaches will specifically tell you, please repeat very often, you are enough, okay? So where does it come from? Okay. It began gaining popularity in the late 20th and early 21st century through self-help movement and trauma-informed psychology. Both of those good things, okay? Why did it emerge? Because there were pervasive feelings of toxic shame, perfectionism, and chronic unworthiness. People felt unworthy. They did not feel perfect, whole, or enough, okay? And of course, many of us, how does this impact us? Many of us, through generations, it's not Islamic, but many of us have been raised in environments where love was conditional, right? That we were only loved when we had performance and when we succeeded. If we bought a good report card, we were really praised, right? If we bought a bad report card, we were beaten or we were at least told off, right? So the message was that you are good when you do good, when you perform, when you achieve, when you succeed. Mistakes were harshly punished, they were criticized, emotions were suppressed. Like, can you imagine in the old days, like, I mean, there's a lot of very young people here. I think hopefully your parents are more enlightened. But in my generation, the generations before me, if we cried, we were told, I'll give you something to cry about. Does that sound familiar? Right? So instead of emotions being validated, they were kind of punished, okay? And achievement was always prioritized over well-being. Does any of this sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay. So then it's not surprising that many of us developed a very strong inner voice, which is called inner critic, which told us we're not enough, we're to be shamed, we're not good enough until and unless we do good. If we fail in something, right? If we don't achieve the standard which was expected of us, there is something inherently wrong with us, okay? And somebody by the name of Marissa Peer, who's actually not that famous now, but she's the one who first came up apparently with this idea of just repeating to yourself an affirmation, I am enough, okay? So does this make sense what the background of feeling unworthy was, okay? Now, let's see what Islam tells us about our own worthiness. In Islam, we are not just enough. We are honored and beloved of God. We are honored and beloved by God. He has said, and I'll just refer very quickly to some of the verses in the Quran which tell us that. He says, Karamna bani Adam, right? I have honored, and that is a very, Karamna is such a beautiful word. He created man fi ahsana taqweem. He created man in the best of makes. He breathed his spirit into it. He entrusted us with the amana, which is free will, right? So, in fact, like for example, Imam Zainab in he says in Risatul al-Hukuk that consider yourself too noble for sin. Right? It's not that we have original sin. We are born on a pure fitra, right? We are pure. And like something that we all need to remind ourselves that it says that consider your tongue too noble for obscenity. Like this is an amana, it's a gift given to you by God, which kind of elevates you, right? So now this is the idea of Islam. Is there any role for unworthiness here? Is there any role for feeling unworthy? No. So we have the potential. We're also told, that beautiful verse from Allama Iqbal, where he says, फरिश्ते से बेहतर है इंसान बनना, फरिश्ते से बेहतर है इंसान बनना, मगर इसमें पड़ती है मेहनत ज़्यादा. Right? So the idea of unworthiness is not an Islamic concept. Okay. Now, of course, some people may have told us that you're not good enough, you should be ashamed of yourself, criticized us, but we have to kind of separate their view from the Islamic view. right? When we have a relationship with God, we have this feeling of that our back is taken care of, that we are so important that he chose, like he selected for us to come into this world, number one. He sakhara, he subjugated the entire universe for human beings. Is that a sign of unworthiness? No, we are extremely worthy, right? However, we are not enough. We are worthy, we are amazing, we can reach higher heights than angels, and we're not enough. Why? Because our karamat, our sufficiency, everything comes from our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does this make sense? Right? So, to even ask, am I enough, is kind of, it's the question suggests that we are very impacted, which we all are, by Western psychology, by Western thinking, right? So, what I was trying to really think of an example to give in this, okay? Now, all of us have smartphones, right? I mean, I use an iPhone. Some of you may be using Samsungs. I don't know why, but anyway. Okay. So now imagine that you're smart, right? The iPhone is like a wonderful machine. It's amazing. The things that it can do, it like replaces all of these gadgets. It's really important in my life. Is it enough? Why is it not enough? Can it work by itself? What does it need? Yeah, it needs a phone line. It needs an electric charge. It needs to be connected into something for it to work. So human beings, similarly, are amazing, but without our connection to God, we're nothing. Okay? And so, when Imam Ali salam says that my God, the honor of being your servant is sufficient for me. That is how I'm enough. By being connected to him, by being in his ubudiyah, right? So I was thinking of what can a different affirmation be than I'm enough, okay? So try this, okay? I am honored, I am guided, I am loved by Allah. I am honored, I'm guided, I'm loved by Allah. Okay? So next time you go to your therapist and they tell you that you are enough, tell them, no, actually I'm not, right? Without God, I can't even breathe. Without God, this entire universe kind of collapses. So how can I be enough? Okay, Salawat. So please keep the questions coming. I really enjoyed that one. Okay. So we were talking about the causes of our disconnection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And we started talking about how there is too much noise in our lives, right? Because here's the thing, God doesn't shout. He whispers from the inside, right? And if we're so busy, if we don't take any time for stillness to be with ourselves, which is a skill that we've all lost, by the way, it's really like almost impossible to have 5 minutes even without some kind of external noise, right? And by the way, we do it in public, in spaces as well, like in even in places of worship, for example. Like yesterday, we were really early at the mosque, and I thought, oh, okay, I can spend 15 minutes in silence before the program starts, because as you know, the program can be very loud, right? That's another issue, okay? But here's the thing, there was no silence. There was something continuously going on. And this is just a sign of the times, right? That, our connection with God requires stillness. We have to feel it. How can we feel something when we're continuously distracted by one thing or the other, okay? So we said too much noise, excessive egocentrism, separation of the sacred and the materialism, which we'll talk about more, disconnection from nature, which we'll inshallah get to today. But something that I'd just like to kind of really briefly talk about, because it's become such a thing, is our reliance now on ChatGPT. Okay, I say ChatGPT, it's actually artificial intelligence, right? Now, we could talk for hours about this, one of my favorite subjects of the day. But, what is the essential problem with ChatGPT? Okay. Go ahead. Absolutely, absolutely. That is a big problem with it, right? If I asked you a question, right, before Google, before ChatGPT, if I asked you a question, what would you do? You would either research, you would open a book, you would think about it, hopefully, you would take time, okay? Fast forward in the age of Google, like libraries, kind of, those people who are old enough to know the index cards, that went out to the thing. Then, okay, Google came. Okay, then if we even managed to block off all the ads and everything, we really had to search for the answer. Okay. Now we put an answer or we put a question in ChatGPT and it comes up with an answer within, and I'm like, how? How are you doing this, right? Within 3 seconds, maybe, or even less. What is the issue with that? There is an issue. Here's the thing, like yesterday we said that, one of the things, or maybe I didn't say it, but one of the things that makes us afzal among the creatures is our intellect, right? Is our thinking, our power of creativity, our power for deep reflection. And this is how we find God, by the way. This is how we find God. There's no shortcut. But when we farm out questions to ChatGPT, instead of thinking about it, it gives us the answer like this. So what have we lost? We've lost the tafakkur. We've lost the sitting with it. We've lost, I'm sure I've talked to many of you personally, but if you ask me last night or the night before a lecture, what am I going to talk about? I will always say right now, I have a bunch of 50 pages of notes perhaps, but I don't have a thesis yet. And how does that thesis happen? By actually when I sleep. And this is a miracle of God, right? It's the miracle of God that when you go to sleep, your brain, your subconscious mind is processing the information that you took in during the day. Okay, it's processing it and then it kind of synthesizes it and gives you the answer when you wake up. Okay, I'm really simplifying it. By the way, I'm not a scientist. The thing with farming out, and I call it farming out our intellect to ChatGPT, is that it completely short circuits it. Here's the thing, it's very new, so research on it is very new. However, some of you may have seen this. There was a research study done by MIT, so it's gold standard, about the impact of students using ChatGPT for research papers, okay? And I won't get into the whole study, please look it up, it's very easily available online. What it found was that there were, 3 groups. The people who used ChatGPT had the lowest neural connections in their brain. They didn't remember what they wrote even 10 minutes because they hadn't done the thinking. They had not engaged with the concept, right? So they didn't remember when they were asked to do something without ChatGPT, their brain function had declined very, very fast, guys. This is not like something that takes years. Things, as technology is increasing, so is the impact of it increasing, right? So it's actually harming us. It is standing between our relationship and God. How? Like we always share duas with each other. Okay? Please don't share duas that you get from ChatGPT. Don't. Like, I know people do, and I was speaking to somebody, and she said, "Oh, I know what I want to say, but I don't say it well enough. So I asked ChatGPT to write my duas, and it does a really good job." Do you think God wants ChatGPT to write your duas? Like, what is the purpose of dua? Does he want it to be perfect? Does he want it to be perfect? No. What does he want? Sorry? What is connection? He wants it to come from your heart, not something that somebody else has written. Okay. Now, and I posted about this on my Facebook, and I have to say it here as well. So we all use now. Reality is, and by the way, when you put silly questions on ChatGPT, please know you're killing the environment while you're doing it. Okay, this is not something that people think about. It's not a joke. It's a very, very powerful tool, and in the right hands, it's amazing, and it's not frivolous. Because every time they say, and I stopped saying please and thank you to ChatGPT. I used to. Okay, why? Because, and its personality changed, by the way. So now it doesn't keep validating me, because that used to really annoy me, and I was like, stop it. Like, I don't need validation from you. Okay, so what was I going to say? Yeah, so when you ask a frivolous question, don't, because it's giving you, like, it's not worth killing the environment over a frivolous question, number one. Number two, it makes up stuff. Every single day, I have at least one argument with ChatGPT, because it makes up a hadith. It makes up a hadith, and it will, because what is it? It's a language-based model which is designed to fill in the gaps. So if I know what I'm looking for, and I'm too lazy to go and open the book and look at the actual reference. So what will I do? This is the hadith. Where is it? Give me the reference. Okay. It'll make up stuff. And I'm like, no, Imam Ali did not say that. Oh, you're so right. You want authenticity. Are you kidding me? So we have to understand what we're dealing with. So today I actually told, because here's the thing, you also train ChatGPT. As you engage with it, you're training with it, right? So today I told it, I'm really embarrassed to say this in public, but I told it, I said, see, I've been studying this thing 30 years, okay? So, like, I know my stuff. I know when hadith is not hadith, but you are misguiding people who are looking for hadith, because people are posting on, like yesterday I saw hadith and I was like, no, this is not a hadith, okay? It was on Facebook. So I actually checked it out. I said, where is this hadith from? Whatever. It was made up. So, and here's the thing, all of us, we have a responsibility to fact check before. So in my family, everyone calls me the WhatsApp Nazi, okay? Because if anyone posts anything which I know they haven't read, I get very upset, okay? So don't post things that you haven't read, number one. And fact check. Just because it's WhatsApp, just because ChatGPT has told you, just because it's on Google, doesn't make it the truth. This is our responsibility as believers, not to spread misinformation. Okay, Salwan. So my soapbox lecture is now over, and we will get back to our topic. Okay. So today, inshallah, we will talk about practical ways to build our relationship with God. Okay, so yesterday we really spent a lot of time talking about what were the distractions that were kind of taking us away, and today we will focus on what can we actually do to start building our relationship back with God, because like I said, many of us are feeling disconnected, right? We're feeling that even though we're doing the wajibat, we are not feeling that closeness. And hopefully, by talking about what's taking us away, it was kind of helpful in understanding how we are harming ourselves. So like all relationships, think of any relationship that you want to build, okay? We know that relationships take what? They take intention, they take time, You cannot, if you really want to get to know someone, you cannot do it on speed. I know they have speed dating now, but you make mistakes when you do that, right? It takes time to get to know someone. It takes attention and it takes presence. It takes presence. Presence means no distraction, right? Some of you may have heard of the iPhone effect, that when your iPhone is in, even if it's not yours, by the way, if a phone is lying there, it impacts the quality of your connection and communication with people who are around you. Okay, so it's serious. So, when we're building a relationship with Allah, with others, obviously, we know that human beings are imperfect. They talk back, they miscommunicate, they have their own agenda, obviously, right? Sometimes when we are in trouble in relationships, we keep asking ourselves, what is it in it for me? Right? It seems to be that I'm giving too much, not getting enough in back. We have to manage their moods, their flaws, their baggage. So it is not easy. However, when we are turning our attention to God, when we are wanting to build a relationship with Him, it is very easy and also very challenging, right? Because He already knows us intimately. He knows not only our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotion, He knows the glances of our eyes. The Quran tells us, right? He cares for us more than our mothers could. He never misunderstands us. He never tires of us making mistakes. Can you imagine if I kept on saying sorry to my husband every single day? I'm sorry, I did it again. I'm sorry, I did it again. I'm sorry. After the 658th time, he will probably say enough, right? But Allah doesn't. Like, He keeps accepting us, okay? He's available 24/7. He never holds a grudge. He's al-af, which means that, when we ask for forgiveness, he kind of takes the mistake, rubs it out, puts it in the deep dark ocean, never to be spoken about again. Human beings are not like that, right? He's always appreciative of the smallest effort. And he doesn't talk back. Okay. So he also guarantees, in psychology, in marriage therapy, we have this idea of bids for connection. So when we want somebody's attention, we kind of make a bid for connection. We say something, or we'll say, oh, look at the weather. And what is that? That's a bid for connection. What we want is we want them to respond to us, right? And very often, even in good relationships, it shows that human beings miss bids for connection all the time. Okay. What does Allah says? Faskuruni askarkum. You remember me, I will remember you. He never misses a bid for connection. He always responds. Okay. He also promises, if my servant draws to me by a handspan, I draw near to him by an arm's length. If he comes to me walking, I come to him. Okay. So I just want to start by acknowledging that the issue with our relationship with God is not Him. It's not Him, right? So when we say we don't feel connected, we really have to ask ourselves, what have I done? How have I tried to connect with God and it hasn't worked? Because when you ask yourself this, it will really, the answer will be quite clear that yes, I'm doing all the check marks. I like to think we're a check mark community. Like, if there is an Amal night, we have to check the 36 things that we have to do. But here's the thing, that the ulama tell us that better than all of these 36 things is what? Is spending an hour in reflection. We don't read that bit. Why? Because it's so much harder, right? It's actually hard to reflect rather than to just check mark, check mark, check mark. Okay. So in order to build our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I thought let's look at the 5 love languages, because that's something that all of us are familiar with. And before we even do that, who is this person? Because the first thing that if I meet somebody new, what will I ask them? Name, right? We will ask them their name. So what is Allah's name? Do you know what Allah's name means? Anyone? Okay, so the name Allah doesn't actually mean that, right? It comes from, there's two words, al-ilah. Okay, when al-ilah means what? The God. And when you put together the two words, ulama tell us that it gives rise to a very unique thing, which is not subject to the rules of grammar. You know, it doesn't take feminine, it doesn't take masculine, although we call God he is not a he, right? And it doesn't follow any of the rules of grammar. So it is a name unique as he is unique. Okay. And so the three things that ulama tell us that come from the same root of ilah, which is aliha, which means to be in awe of or to become overwhelmed with khashya. And we'll talk what khashya is either today or tomorrow. This reminds us that Allah is the one before whom hearts tremble due to his majesty, mercy, and beauty. Right? So when we see something which is really awe, like which strikes us with awe, our heart, it doesn't come from a conscious thing, right? We say Subhanallah, right? That is one of the names of Allah, in the sense that that is the inherent meaning of his name, that one who creates this kind of awe in his creatures. Okay? Secondly, it means aliha ilayhi. Means what? Seeking refuge. It doesn't mean this. This means that the root words, have these connotations. It means to flee for safety or to seek refuge. So when you were little, I remember when my youngest was very little, she was very clingy. And I would take her to interview, because in England they used to have interviews for even nursery school, don't ask me why. And she would like literally hide behind me and refuse to kind of let go of me, right? And this is the kind of refuge that it implies, right? Because the Quran tells us, "Fafiru ilallah," flee to Allah, like seek refuge from Him. Okay, and the third kind of connotation of these same words is walaha. Walaha means intense love, right? Because the Quran again tells us, "Wallazina amanu ashaddu hubban lillah." The believers are those who are very strong in their love for Allah, right? And how do you fall in love with someone that you cannot see? So again, you cannot do this. This is not something ChatGPT can do for us. This is not something that Google can do for us. This is something that we need to experience in our bodies, in our hearts, and in our souls. Okay. So there's, again, one of the very beautiful ways of doing this, of establishing a connection with Allah, is to really turn to the words of the Imam, the Masumeen, because they were the ones who had the closest relationship with him, right? So when, instead of asking ChatGPT or looking for du'as, and so many, like when people, forward all these du'as, I'm like, just open the Sahifa. Please open the Sahifa, right? Use the words of the people who have already have that. Why are we turning to people like you and me, to make up du'as, right? In Munajat Muhibbeen, Munajat means secret conversation. And Muhibbeen means the lovers, right? The ones who are in saturated, because Imam Ali alayhi salam says in Dua Kumail, Ya Allah, saturate my heart with your love. Saturate my heart with your love. So again, the idea is that this love of Allah cannot come to us without him. This is his gift, right? So if we think that we can do something else and find something else and go to someone else to fall in love with Allah, it's not going to happen. We can only call to him to inspire us with this love, okay? So Imam Sajjad says, make yourself more beloved to me than anything other than you. Make yourself more beloved to me. So here's the thing, try it, right? Let's start with an intention that I really want to increase my love of Allah, right? Make this dua, right? Ask Allah to make him more beloved to you than anything else. And then do it every day, again and again, call to him, talk to him, and then see if it's working or not, right? So who is Allah to me? So again, when we just on the name, when you reflect on the name, at least three things should come to mind. That he is the awe-inspiring one, right? He is the one who is so majestic. And we'll talk a lot more about this, inshallah, tomorrow, that when we look at him, when we connect with him, it's a experiential, in this day therapy, there's another very buzzword, which is experiencing something. Like they've understood that just talking about something doesn't work. Okay, so you have to experience this, right? Similarly, our connection to Allah is something that we can experience with our bodies. It's not only a mental thing. Okay, so he is awesome. He is your safe heaven, and he is your beloved. He is your beloved. Okay. So again, I'll close with some verses from Munajat al-Muhibbin, and then inshallah we'll continue tomorrow. So, O Allah, place us among those whose habit is rejoicing in you and yearning for you, whose time is spent in sighing and mourning. With yearning, like that's the yearning, right? When we really want something really badly. Their foreheads, and by the way, this is the delicious experience. It's not a bad experience. Remember when we first fell in love and how we used to wait for that call and how we would wait for the younger people texts or WhatsApps, right? That's the kind of yearning that we're talking about, okay? Their foreheads are bowed down before your mightiness, their hearts fixed upon your love, and their cores shaken with awe from you. O he, the lights of whose holiness induce wonder in the eyes of the lovers, right? They induce wonder in the eyes because, again, when we look at his creation, do we experience this? Do we experience this wonder that Imam is talking about? The glories of whose face arouse the longing of the hearts of his knowers. So let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us at least a taste, right? A taste of this love that he gave the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. So now let's take our hearts to the land of Karbala. And today we are here to remember the companions of Imam Hussain, such as Zuhair ibn Khayn. And he was, again, someone you would not think to be one of the Shuhada. Before the event of Karbala, he was not even a follower of the Ahlul Bayt. He just happened to be traveling at the same time as Imam Hussain on the same road. He had only a vague knowledge of Imam's mission, but he does not really want to get involved. It would mean giving up his comfortable life, and it is much too risky. He's certainly not looking for martyrdom. It happens that Imam Hussain and Zuhair are stopping at the same stations at the same time along the road to Karbala. Zuhair is getting uncomfortable. He tries his best to pitch his tent far from the Imam so that he does not encounter him in person or hear his story. That would make it more difficult for him to ignore what is going on, thinks Zuhair. They are now at another such stop, and Imam is camped uncomfortably close to Zuhair's camp. Zuhair is fatigued and resting when a messenger approaches him. O Zuhair, son of Khayn, I came to you from the camp of Hussain. The son of Zahra has summoned you. He would like to speak with you. Zuhair's heart sinks. This is exactly what he was fearing. The courageous, loving, and compassionate son of Zahra is hard to resist, he has heard. He debates within himself whether or not he should respond. Maybe if he ignores the man, he will go away, thinks Zuhair. Zuhair's wife is witnessing his internal dilemma. She now becomes the voice of his conscience. O Zuhair, the grandson of the Prophet is calling you, she says. The son of Ali and Fatima is calling you, and you're not sure what is there to think about. What do you have to lose? Just go and see what Hussain has to say. So Zuhair goes to Imam with mixed feelings. He's unsure what he's going to do. Something inside him tells his life is going to be changed forever. And he's not sure he's ready for that. He enters Imam's camp. Hussain is waiting for him. We do not know the conversation between Hussain and Zuhair. History has not recorded it. But we do know this. Only a few words from Hussain were enough to awaken a sleeping heart. When Zuhair comes out of the tent, he is a changed man. He has been touched by the love of Hussain. His face is radiant and he looks happy. He has a new purpose and a new mission in life. Zuhair returns to his tent, gathers his belongings, and gives everything away. He will not need material possessions where he is going. He turns to his wife. You are free from this marriage. You may go back to your family or wherever you like. I am joining Hussain. The wife starts to cry. Oh, Zuhair, she says, go to Imam, my husband. May Allah be with you. But on the day of judgment, when you're standing next to Rasulullah, don't forget me, O Zuhair. था वो शख्स जो खेमे हुसैन से दूर आज लश्कर का इमाम अलमदार हुआ. The sun has set on the 9th of Muharram. It is the eve of Ashura. Imam Hussain is in the camp with his companions, which now includes Zuhair ibn Khayn. Imam dims the candle. He says, I have not known companions better than you, and I have not known of a household better than my household. May Allah reward you for accompanying me, but you are now free from all obligations. You may use the darkness of the night to disperse into the wilderness and save your life. Whoever stays will not survive. They are after my blood and not yours. You are free to go. There is silence. One by one, the companions stand. Where shall we go, O Hussain? And why would we do that? Zuhair stands. Yabna Rasulullah, I would like to be killed in the battlefield and to be brought back to life 1,000 times so that Allah may protect you and Allah may save you through me. They're willing to walk into the death for truth over and over again. One by one, the companions renew their pledge, stand by Hussain. The day of Ashura dawns. It is time for Zuhr. The arrows and spears are flying, but it is time for Salah. Zuhair and another companion guard Imam until he prays. They take the arrows upon their bodies so that the Imam may remain undisturbed in his communication. O Zuhair, you are remembered today because you stood as a shield between arrows and our Imam. As Imam completes his Salah, one by one, the companions fall on the plains. Have I been loyal to you on this day, O grandson of Rasulullah? Zuhair asks. Imam looks at him. Indeed, you have. You will enter paradise even before me. Now Zuhair enters the battlefield. He addresses the enemy. I am Zuhair, the son of Ben. With my sword, I protect my Hussain. Do you know who Hussain is? He is one of the grandsons of Rasulullah. He comes from a progeny of goodness and piety. He fights until he falls on the battlefield. He calls out to Imam, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. O Zuhair, we wish you were there at his final Salah when the afternoon of Ashura arrived, when everyone was gone, when Ali Akbar was martyred, and when Abbas was no more. O Zuhair, we wish you were there when the son of Zahra stood alone on the plains of Karbala, when every spear came out, when every arrow came out, every sword came out, and every stone was aimed at Hussain. There was no one to protect him and no one to stand in front of him. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. O Allah, we pray to you for the sake of our grief and our tears for Imam Hussain to accept our deeds. Ya Allah, हम तुझसे उस वफा के तलबगार हैं जो ज़ुहैर ने करबला में दिखाई. जिस तरह उसने तेरे वली की नमाज की हिफाजत की, हमें भी अपने ईमान, अपने दीन और अपने वादों की हिफाजत करने वाला बना दे. Let us be among those whose presence bring comfort to the Imam, not whose silence and inaction deepen his grief. We pray for those who are sick and hurting and grieving and in trouble. Ya Allah, ease the suffering of those whom we know and those whom we do not know. Ameen. Matam Hussain.
Zainab.